Once Human is getting its massive new update, we'll go over all the details with 1.6.1, which do include 2 brand new scenarios. I'll compare and contrast each and let you know how each of them will play out and work. We'll also go over some additional things with Divisional Season 1, as well as a whole bunch more. What's up, world? It's Utopia back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. Let's just jump right into it. First off, you're probably here for this brand new 2 scenarios. That is the new PvE scenario and the stream and the PvP scenario Raidzone. Now there is a ton of details. In fact, they've dropped 2 full articles for these, all also including a third with the patch notes. So there's a bunch of info to break down with each. I'm going to simplify them as much as possible so you kind of understand how each of those is going to work. Then we'll compare and contrast those and go over some more details. So first off here, for the Endless Stream PvE mode, that is going to be a story-driven cooperative survival mode, where the map will be fully accessible day 1. Why do they mention it this way? Well, you also get Broken Delta and Ember Strand. So yes, the entire map for Once Human is open, which includes Way of Winter and Manabus together. That's going to be the whole map, the whole zones all together. Now yes, before they mentioned that they couldn't do this due to some tech issues, but they have actually figured this out due to community feedback, and this even was further clarified and confirmed by Jaeger over on the Once Human Discord, where the team has worked tirelessly to actually get this to work, both the Ember Strand and Broken Delta together. So essentially, Manabus and Way of Winter combined into one map. And all of the zones are fully accessible from day 1. Now what are you going to be fighting in those maps will actually depend per scenario, but for Endless Dream that's going to be Deviants and Nightmare Kin in the Dream Zones, where the Nightmare Kin are the new enemies that we'll be facing, and the core loop will go as follows. So your core gameplay loop there will be the collect Wakeful Sand, challenge, and then clear the Nightmare Tubes. You can then earn reality fragments from that, where you'll be able to craft bullets, tools, and reality reset tool, which those will extend the 15-minute zone timer. You essentially need to clear each zone of these Nightmare Tubes, to which the reality fragments you do earn will help you actually do that. Again, being able to craft certain bullet types and tools to help you clear those, as well as this one here, the reality reset tool, that's going to allow you to extend that zone timer to give you a little bit more time to clear it out. Now there is a change here to the building mechanic of this mode. This mode is entirely being able to free build, meaning you can build anywhere in any of the dream zones, and you won't need any terminals. Essentially, your terminal is where you do place down your original build, or when you first start that terminal. You won't actually need that. You can literally build anywhere inside these dream zones, which could help you purge and kind of clear that zone out as well, and allows you to kind of freeform there. Now there is actually an endgame mechanic to this. So if you have purged enough of the dream zones inside your server, essentially you cannot fail those timers. You will have to keep purging zones when those timers pop up. But if you do enough in this certain time, you will actually trigger one of the multiple endings. However, if your server fails, then you will also trigger a certain ending, and essentially your group's action will decide the world's fate, meaning the entire server essentially will decide what the ending will be for that server. So you can actually fail, at least you can fail this scenario in a certain way, if you let too many zones get taken over and not purged in time. And there are essentially multiple endings here within that end game. So essentially you're going around zone to zone, clearing out what you can, enemies, deviations, and the Nightmare Tubes, earning those reality fragments, crafting bullets to help you do so, as well as those tools and extend timers. Moving on here, we have the Raidzone PvP scenario. Now this is a high-stakes competitive survival. It is very, very competitive. The entire map will be open, and there will be no safe zones ever. So if you played Prison vs. Clash where you get those safe zones, nope, you do not get any safe zones. Wherever you build, you can be taken over. Only enemies here will be meta humans, just like Rust, meta versus meta. Now what is the core gameplay loop of that? Well, essentially akin to Rust and some other games, you'll scavenge, loot for fresh gear that has no imports. You will not be able to bring anything from your space-time backpack, meaning you will start fresh. Everyone will start fresh on this server. No blueprints, no nothing, everything, all your equipment, all your deviations, nothing will carry over, meaning you will start entirely fresh. This will be like if you just started a brand new character on a brand new account. So this one does start out very, very hardcore. It'll be like if you just started Once Human again. Now on top of that mechanic there, you will also be able to build defense, traps, and you will be able to have up to 3 territory terminals. So you can have 3 different territory locations, allowing you to have some kind of diversity there. And of course, you will need to build up your defenses, traps, just like you do in Rust if you ever played that. Now this one is really intense. You will need to stay alert, as you can be attacked at any point in time, even while you are logged out. So yes, this one is a bit degenerate there with the hours you will have to participate in this, as if you are logged out or anytime you aren't on, anytime your team members aren't on, they can essentially be attacked. So it is very hardcore in that manner there. Now this one actually will have a special mechanic tied to it, where you can also gather realm fragments, kind of like reality fragments, where you can empower something called the Ursula. That is actually your starting deviation, and every time you do collect realm fragments, that will further empower it, where you will then eventually have the option to summon a devastating Manibus, causing massive AoE damage, meaning will damage buildings, etc. However, this will actually influence the ending of that scenario, where it will essentially accelerate the end of the phases, meaning that it will go quicker depending on how fast or how much you wield this. And that essentially will influence the end of what is happening with this scenario, and the ultimate goal is to be the last meta standing that will win the entire scenario. This one is very, very competitive, as you can see, so I might not jump into this one unless you are fully invested to take it on. We'll look at the key differences here just in case you want to do a little bit of recap. So obviously comparing Endless Dream and Raidzone, it's a PvE and a PvP focus, where one is enemy AI driven and another one is just versus players. The PvE one has timers that are extendable, Raidzones don't have timer where the world persists offline. Also a pretty massive difference there with building. You can build anywhere in Dream Zones for the PvE one, but PvP you will only have 3 terminals. Your structures are always vulnerable in that as well. PvE, you can bring your space-time backpack over and all that stuff, where you can also craft from fragments, sand, and then in the PvP zone, you're just looting fresh gear in that mode as you start from 0. The PvE one will have multiple endings, and the PvP one will just be the last player alive will actually win that scenario. Now a quick FAQ to run down both of those. Can you play solo? Yes, in both modes you can play solo or in team mode. Now one thing here with the Raidzone, how do you stay safe? Well, you will need to hide in a fully enclosed building within your territory. That's to make sure you don't get taken out while you're offline. Again, these are very different scenarios from each other. Still not sure what I'll enter into. I think more than likely I'll go PvE on the stream, although I am considering PvP Raidzone, as I really do like the PvP modes in Once Human. I will make note though, if you do enter these new scenarios, you will not get access to the Visional Season 1. Since these are in early access stages, the Visional Season 1 stuff will not pertain to these scenarios. If you do want the Starfall inversion stuff, you will actually have to play on the normal scenarios. So any of those new deviations out that were really just kind of reworks of current ones, or any of the high altitude explorations or any stuff like that, that will only pertain to the current scenarios. Which is a little infograph here. Manibus, Evolution's Call, Prison vs. Clash, and the Way of Winter will be those. Endless Dream and Raidzone will not be receiving the Visional Wheel here. Moving on here, I want to do a quick recap of the 1.6.1 update. Now the maintenance for this should actually go live a little bit after when this video releases, around 4 PM Pacific time, and that will be a 2-hour long maintenance. There is going to be quite a massive download for this. It's going to be 73 gigabytes, as it will be a full reinstall. However, this will free up around 18 to 20 gigabytes, as they have done some compression here and they've optimized the game a little bit. So pretty cool to see that. Saving 18 to 20 gigabytes is quite nice. They have done some additional optimizations here for PC and mobile, which is really nice to see as well. Mobile will have a switch weapon button, improved HP bar, and force UI. There's also some weapon balance adjustments for reload efficiency and critical builds, which are the main ones. I'll link to it down below if you want to check out the full combat balance adjustments. There are a ton of other ones, but yes, Critical Pulse did essentially get nerfed for PvP. With this update, of course, we're also getting the Starfall Collection event. They do showcase off some of the rewards here that you can get. And as you see in the bottom right here, there is a past shop button, meaning that you will be able to obtain rewards from the past Visional Wheel seasons. So really, really cool there. Don't worry, you can get those from those Visional Wheels. We're also going to be getting some additional shop updates here. Dyeable furniture packs, which I'm super happy about. I even mentioned this in my previous video. But yeah, they are going to allow to actually dye the furniture. Some previous sets like the Neon Symphony, Afternoon Garden, and Sunny Coast Living, those can now be dyed in the designer workstation. Some additional future shop updates here for different skins, as well as that new loot crate. So some decent shop updates there overall. That should about cover for today's video. Again, if you do have any questions or concerns, please do let me know in the comments. Everything I covered should be in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, like, subscribe, and until the next one. Deuces.